Our next guest is focused on the energy side of General Motors, the global automotive manufacturing corporation headquartered in Detroit, Michigan. Rob Threlkeld is the global manager of sustainable energy for General Motors, which is now focused on an all-electric future. Welcome to Business Life 360, Rob.
Thanks, Kristi. I'm looking forward to our conversation today.
For sure. So, Rob, now more than ever, corporations are looking to develop and implement energy-efficient operations. So as kind of an old powerhouse auto industry manufacturer, operationally speaking, how has GM shifted and rolled out sustainable energy platforms, specifically as it ties to the manufacturing process itself and plant emissions?
Yeah, that's a great question. And we've really been focused, on our energy efficiency efforts within our facilities, whether it's through energy savings program implementation, which is kind of our funding mechanism to drive energy efficiency efforts into our facilities, or focused even, on the new technology that's coming out and how fast some of that technology is changing. I remember back in the day when we had our overhead, factory lights, we transitioned those to T8 fluorescent lights and now to LEDs, all in the last 15 years. And so it's really understanding what technology is on the horizon, figuring out how we implement it into it, and then ultimately, fund that so that we can drive efficiency into our operations.
Mm-hmm. And drilling down then, what goals has GM set that are tied to air quality? And how do you benchmark that or measure the percentage of impact that GM is having on air quality? And can you actually quantify that?
Yeah, so we've got a goal to reduce by 35% the energy intensity of our operations by 2035. Some of the ways that we actually look at that, and we've implemented this year, working with a company called Timber Rock and the regional transmission operator, PJM, which runs a lot of the grid within the mid-Atlantic all the way to the Midwest. If you look at our Ohio operations of real-time carbon tracking. And really what that means is that at any point in time, we understand what the carbon footprint of our facilities are. And with that, we can then determine how do we efficiently operate those facilities with the renewables that we've got coming to our facilities, as well as just the overall operations of the plant itself, so that we can make decisions of how to reduce the overall carbon footprint going forward. And then taking some of that information and understanding how we can then transition the facility to operate more efficiently going forward in the future.
General Motors President Mary Barra has announced that General Motors will become carbon neutral in global products and operations by 2040, transitioning to 100% zero tailpipe emissions for new light-duty vehicles by 2035. And General Motors also is planning to introduce 30 or more electric vehicle models by the year of 2035. So tell us more about this.
So yeah, this is great. We have been very aggressive in this space in electrification. It obviously goes back to the Volt that launched early part of the last decade, to the Bolt that launched the latter half of the last decade as well, to, as you noted, 30 electric vehicles or potentially more. You never know, as we move forward aggressively in the electrification space, investing over $35 billion, as you noted, in this sector. And so it's really exciting. It's exciting and really just to see the broader transformation as a whole as we go through our facilities as well. Kind of noted to the earlier conversation of the energy efficiency component, we're now, we've announced several of our facilities are going to become our, electric vehicle hubs, whether it's our Detroit Factory Zero facility at Hamtramck in Detroit, Michigan, to Spring Hill, Tennessee, that's building and just really launched last week, the Cadillac Lyriq, to the Orion Assembly Plant just north of Detroit that's going to be producing electric vehicles as well, and making significant investments not only in the products but in our facilities to be able to transform our future.
So when we look at the big picture of energy, particularly in the corporate automotive world, which is, of course, your expertise, in the U.S. and global corporate environments, what do you deem to be the greatest challenge that you face? Is it speed to market, for example?
I would say speed to market is a good one, but the speed that the change has to happen. I mean, if you think about the automobile sector and really the utility sector as a whole, it's been that way for 100 years or more. When you think about the big distributed fossil generation plants, you drive down the highway, you see the smokestacks, you see the power plants. Similarly, as you're driving your vehicle, it's all been that way for 30 years. Now, the efficiency's improved, on the vehicles and miles per gallon, but, it's now the transition to really moving from a pipeline that you move the fluids to fill your vehicle today to the wires that are going to ultimately charge your batteries going forward into the future.
List for us some of General Motors' initiatives, your pillars, kind of what you adhere to and how you set these huge sort of global corporate strategies to impact change as it relates to environmental issues?
Yeah, great question. And one way I would actually look at that is in 2016, we did announce to get all of our manufacturing operations by 2050 to be 100% renewable electricity. Fast forward, as costs have come down, as we thought about our business a lot differently, we've now accelerated that goal to be 100% renewable electricity in the United States by 2025 and globally 2035. And how we're going to accomplish that is really a plethora of portfolio of solutions, whether it's really across 4 pillars. It's pillar 1 is energy efficiency, as we talked about. Pillar 2 is sourcing renewables. We've sourced a significant amount of renewables from our utility partners across a number of states, or done some of our own purchasing of renewables through power purchase agreements, including one in Northwest Ohio that's just down the road from our Defiance casting engines and transmissions facility. To pillar 3, which is energy storage, addressing the intermittency that renewables do bring to the grid and finding solutions that allow it to operate and driving resiliency. And pillar 4 gets to our earlier comment around speed, is around policy and scale. How do we leverage the scale of General Motors to help move the policy arena faster, leveraging the work that we do with some of the associations like the Clean Energy Buyers Alliance that we're actually going to be hosting in Detroit, which has going to probably be nearly 1,000 some of the largest energy buyers in the United States from a renewable energy standpoint, and some of the largest renewable energy developers. So how do we leverage that scale really to move the industry forward?
Terrific. Now, as we look to the future, reducing carbon emissions, moving to cleaner, fresher air quality, and decarbonizing the grid, General Motors is an American and global company committed to clean energy and sustainable transportation for the long term. For that, we thank you. Rob Threlkeld, thanks for sharing your sustainable energy knowledge with us and all that you do at General Motors. We appreciate it here on Business Life 360.
Great. Thanks for having me today.